Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to join this session. This is a hybrid mode session, so we have our audience at online and, of course, for people at on-site. This session is about bridging social capital in collective action, and I'm the facilitator of this session. My name is Stacy. I'm from an NGO called Fullness Social Enterprise Society. I'm not sure how many of you have attended yesterday the policy dialogue. What I recalled from the speakers, they are from the government officials, policymaker, and also some thought leader. They all mentioned social innovation as a source of opportunities for in the post-pandemic era, and business is an essential partners in this ongoing movement. It is not just because they are resourceful, it also because it is a win-win situation for creating shared values, especially in the recent trends talk a lot about ESG reporting and the 7 UN Sustainable Development Goals too. Today, our session will be focused on the business for good. By making use of corporation internal resources and the external social capital through technology or an online platform as an intervention to speed up and scale up the cross-sector collaborations. No matter they are SME or multinational company, can join hands to create a social impact from the community level or even to the globe. Just about guests. Some of you, are you from the NGO? Can you wave hands to me? Yeah, hello, welcome. And you from the social enterprise? Welcome. And education sector? Yeah, welcome. Thank you very much. I'm sure you are looking for ways to work with corporations, right? And at the same time, any of you are from the business sectors? Hello, more hands. How about foundations, philanthropies, funders? And if you are, hello, welcome. Yeah, I'm sure you are also looking for social good projects, right? Yeah, I'm sure today the sharing of our 3 distinguished speakers, you will find insight and inspiration from them on how to make it happen. In these 2 hours, we will split it into three parts. For the part 1, we will have our 3 speakers to share what they work on the business for good. And the second part will be the panel discussion. And we also welcome questions from the floor and of course also the online audience. Please send your questions through the chat box. And the third part will be the interactive sections, and it will be conducted in Cantonese for this part. Yeah, we will invite you for voting because we want to hear your voice too. At the same time, we have invited 2 beneficiaries organizations to join to share the story as well. So without further ado, may I invite our first speakers, Jennifer. Yes, please come on stage. Yes. Hello, Jennifer is the Associate Director of New World Development. Jennifer is a change maker, she calls herself. Yeah. She believes creating shared values is the new business future. She initiates the launch of Share for Good platform in March or in February. You can further elaborate. And at the same time, she is also responsible to drive social innovation projects within and beyond New World Group. May I pass the time to you to share for us the Share for Good and Share for Love. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Okay, hi, good afternoon, everyone. So it's my honor to share how New World Development has been advocating social innovation and also intriguing business elements to some charity initiatives, especially on this project on Share for Good. So a little bit introduction of New World. So we are a listed company with over 50 years of history and with an asset value of over 600 Hong Kong billion dollars. So we are serving over 21 billion members. We have business diversing from education to wellness living, from real estate to hospitality, and also from sports to services, etc., etc. So a short video to introduce ourselves. A really quick overview on what our company is doing. We work a lot of things on the community, on social innovation projects, and the reason behind is we have a vision of creating shared value. This is the company vision, and this is at the core of our group. And as our CEO, Adrian Chang, has always said, we have to be really pure in our hearts and do something we really believed in. So creating shared value is something in our DNA. And it's not just our company saying, but also our investors and our stakeholders. So, for example, BlackRock is the world's largest asset management company. So every year he will write a letter to CEOs of the invested companies, and he will ask the companies to put the purpose at the foundation of the companies. And this company purpose has to tie really close with the community, because that's what's the people, the employee is looking forward, what the customers are expecting, and of course the shareholders, that they need to understand your principle and the guiding vision of your company. So purpose is very important. So this is what our investors has been telling us as well. And also, we look at what the youth says, the next generation says. So a Deloitte survey is telling us that a third of the youth would turn away from the job or any assignments you are giving to them if these kind of assignments is not ethical, if not they're not doing something related to the community. So you could see that like CSV has really become the most important virtue every business have to pursue in. And of course, it's not easy. And how we do it within our group is, firstly, we have the blessing from the management. We have 100 support from them. We did a lot of works on workshops and visits to social enterprises. We do business case competitions around it, over 100 CSV activities in it, and do various communications channels just to make sure our staff would understand the belief and reasons behind. And also we actually put CSV into the performance indicators in every department and also individually in every staff, so that in their yearly plans, they have to really consider the CSV elements in the operations. And so you can see that that's how we implement and roll out and penetrate CSV across our departments. And when we think about our charity initiatives, we try to leverage the business advantage to further enhance our charitable initiatives as well. So one example is our mass production. So when we started this production line, we started as a CSV startup at the very beginning, as we started at the beginning of the COVID. So of course, firstly, we have the internal demand to become a stable source of supply to our thousands of employees. And we have been donating a lot of masks to the community as well. So to date, we have already donated over 40 million pieces of face masks overseas and locally. And it has also become a profitable business because, as you see, the mask I'm wearing is like quite fashionable, I would assume. So it's not just a charitable thing, but also we would think on the business side on how to get returns from this initiatives as well. And of course, Share for Good, the charity platform, which I'll detail more about, is it's actually the city's first large-scale charity donation matchmaking platform that we work on. And the story goes back to the earlier of this year in February. If you remember, there's a one night like the patients and elderlies have to shiver under the chills and rains at the outdoor area of the hospital. So our company saw the news, of course, very heartbreaking. And we managed to send over 100 gas heaters just overnight and send it to these hospitals and centers, like testing centers. And we have to become a gas heater supplier because we are not just sending the gas heater. We also have to supply the fuel and also provide some manpower support to do the installations, delivery, etc. So it's kind of like a total package when we deliver this kind of donations, and that's the time when it aroused a lot of interest and awareness from the public and from the media as well. So we receive a lot of calls. So from the corporate end, many partners and vendors called us and say, hey, we want to give a helping hand too. Can we work together? And from the NGOs, we receive a lot of calls and they tell us that they in need of help because there are many pain points like the lack of resources, lack of channels, lack of manpower, lack of logistic solutions, etc., etc. So we see there's a really opportunity that we can match these kind of supply and demand in one platform. So that's the birth of Share for Good platform. So you can scan the QR code, and that's what the website looks like. And when we set up this Share for Good platform, we are trying to make it a very efficient platform to really help those in need. And the idea is actually quite simple. So if you have any cash or in-kind donations you wanted to make, you can make it through our app or website. And you can also choose the preference. You can choose your own NGO, preferred NGO, or your preferred items to donate. Or you could prefer to donate cash, and we will purchase the supplies on behalf. And we also managed to get the support from Shenzhen Express and Lala Move as the logistics suppliers. So to give free logistic solutions to all the NGOs and individual donors as well. And we have a network of 60 NGOs to help us to deliver these supplies directly to the beneficiaries. And we are very blessed. In just 3 weeks, we are managed to establish this platform. And within a little more than 1 month, we have raised 15 million Hong Kong dollars in terms of cash and in-kind donations to many recipient individuals. And the beauty of the platform is also lies on the free administrative fee. We do not receive any administrative fee on that. So we behind this platform, we fully support in all the operations, and we also provide a hassle-free logistics solutions that is resolving quite some problems to the NGOs as well. And these are some of the photos when we delivered the donated items in, because we know during that time, during the fifth wave of the COVID, is really the time is in essence, I would say. So how to deliver these kind of supplies to directly to the beneficiaries is something we need to really solve in time. And we are also glad to have the support from our 60 NGO partners, which include our Hong Kong Christian Service, which is we'll share a little bit more later on stage. And our beneficiaries are spreading across the 18 districts, be it the homeless people or like the people residing in the subdivided units. So we hope to benefit as many people as possible. And we are also looking expansion for our network. So people may wonder, how are we able to establish this platform in such a short period of time, in just 3 weeks? So of course, setting aside, we give away our sleeping hours, of course, but we also have backed up by many professional teams in our company and in our partners as well. So we have a technical team to make this platform and app happen, and also load it on shelf to iOS and to the Android platform. But if some of the technical people here, you would know that uploading an app to Apple on shelf, usually it takes a month, but I don't know what kind of magic they play, and they put it really quickly. And we also have our VIP team and also call center teams to help facilitate the technical operations of the NGOs and our partners. And we also become a purchaser and to do all the supplies and all the logistic things and the legal support, of course, to answer all our queries, to clear all our queries. So you see, this platform is actually the chance to gather all professions and to work towards one common goal, is to help the needy in time. So in this example is a food campaign. It's called Share a Meal. So we connect over 200 restaurants and place a tent cart. So it's a very simple thing. Like people can, when they having their meals, they can simply scan a QR code and do a cash donations, be it $10 or $20 through PayMe or Alipay, and we'll translate it into food donations to the NGOs. And another thing is the partnership with over 200 corporates. So the corporates tell us a couple of things. So firstly, they found Share for Good a trusted platform to solve their ESG targets. And secondly, yes, and secondly, they also find it a very easy and comfortable way to work with the peers or even the competitors. And firstly, unexpectedly, we help them to solve the surplus issue. So they might have some stock surplus. For example, an FMCG brand, L'Occitane, they have been donating over 300,000 pieces of daily necessities such as shower gel, shampoo, etc. And these kind of supplies would be expiring in a few months or in 6 months of time. So they cannot put it on shelf to sell it at retail shops. But this provide a perfect way to do a donation. So it's a kind of like a win-win-win situation. So this is another example to put it in an innovative way, a package when Lenovo donates laptops and Microsoft provides an environment to do a sustainability learning in the Minecraft environment. So we are able to provide 1,000 students this education package. And this is the this is the just now showing the kind of the students could create an artwork in this Minecraft environment, and from the distance learning, this is another thing we help them to achieve. So we have been continuing to work on this initiative. So lately, we have also received a donation of 2 million pieces of face masks because the number of COVID cases is still quite high in recent months. And we also try to introduce this initiative with some citywide events. So together, solicit the supports from different events, such as these swimmers from the New World Harbour race as well. So looking forward, we are really hoping to extend this platform to many more people, and also to see if there's any possibility to not only on tangible stuff, but also to explore in the area of professional services, to do some matching between the NGOs, needy person, and also on the corporates. So feel free to talk to me or scan this QR code, make some donations, and we can think together and help the community together.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Actually, I'm very happy to hear that you said many corporations have ESG targets have to fulfill. I think many NGO friends here that we are happy to reach you or reach the corporation in helping. We help each other actually. Yeah. At the same time, I'm very impressed as a citizen as myself. In February, I still remember it's the Chinese New Year time. It's cold and wet time. Is the COVID outbreak of the 5th wave. I still remember I was watching the TV, and the news is pop up is for New World, they are sending the heaters to patients that are staying outside the hospital. At that time, I'm very feel impressed and blessed that Hong Kong, we have such a great organization can respond so immediately, so promptly, and carrying the immediate needs of those patients. Actually, many of them are quite old indeed. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are very blessed because we have the experience in working with the charity partners that make the delivery possible.
Yeah, yeah. One more point of response to you before we inviting the second speaker is the technology part. You have mentioned you just spent 3 weeks in developing this platform. I can't imagine for Angel like us. Actually, we're spending months or maybe even years to develop our e-platform, which is, I think this is the beauty from a commercial world, that you can speed up the things or even scale up in a very fast pacing. Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Actually, I have lots of questions for you, but I maybe from the floor or even from online, you can start preparing your questions for Jennifer, okay? Okay, let's introduce our second speakers. Actually, is Ms. Masami Sato. She is based in Singapore. She is will join us in a virtual format. May I invite Masami Sato to join us now?
I just need to restart somehow.
Oh, restart. Okay, maybe I have a brief introduce about you first. Masami actually is the founder and CEO of a Buy One Get One platform, which is a social enterprise based in Singapore. Actually, it is by helping SME business around the world to bridge forth effective giving in what they do. So it is a e-platform to bridge both sides, the corporate, the SME, and also the needs from NGOs from all over the world. Masami has a strong sense of belief that purpose-driven can make a real difference in the world. May we invite Masami to share with us the business for good and the true power of small, please.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very clear. Thanks.
I'm in Singapore at the moment, and it's great to be connecting with you. You are in Hong Kong, and isn't it amazing that after going through lots of challenges during the pandemic, we can actually make things happen technologically so that we can connect across the borders and share insight. So today I'm really happy to be sharing a little piece of inspiration with you. And in my part, I will be talking about relatively similar things. And I think that, creating shared value is just such fantastic, important thing that we can all do. So in my part, I will be focused on this theme, which is the power of small. And because, it's easy to think small things don't matter too much, but actually they do. So just like this picture of bee, on a day-to-day basis, we are all part of doing small things every day and making things happen, as a business, individuals, and actually those little acts of business activities and lifestyle activities are like this little bee pollinating flowers. And if bees disappear from the world, we will have a problem. So that's why there is such huge power in small. And of course, when we look around the world, it's such a beautiful place we are part of. But at the same time, it's so easy to feel so small. So there is that little tiny dot over there. So let me just blow it up. So we feel like that little tiny dot, quite often, that things are happening in the world and we don't know whether what we do or what we think matters at all. So today we want to explore that and then see the things with a new set of eyes. Now, I'm very familiar with the idea of feeling small and being small. So I'm quite small, actually, if you see me in real life. But that, picture of a little girl in front of the shop, that's me. And when I was little, I grew up in Japan, and my grandparents used to have this little shop in Tokyo. So I was helping them run this little business. And that's how I learned about entrepreneurship. And I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, but I think my grandparents' influence was a big part of that. But I actually am very introverted. And I'm very shy. So I used to feel very scared of talking with strangers too. And if ever any foreigners, walked past or came in a shop, then I used to go screaming into the house and then said, gaijin, gaijin, which in Japanese means outsider, foreigners, but the outsiders. So I used to think something outside of in my own country or community seems to be very foreign and very different and very unknown. But I had a curiosity. So when I actually graduated from school in Japan, I actually managed to travel around the world as a young backpacker. So as a little, Japanese girl who didn't speak English, I went to so many countries and spent 2 years traveling around the world. And when you are backpacking, sometimes you are in very vulnerable situations and you can't speak the language in the local country. So it could be sometimes, feel scary. But at the same time, I actually experienced extreme sense of connection and kindness wherever I went. And in Japan, I was struggling to, talk to a stranger or feeling very shy about expressing myself. But when I was totally in the, vulnerable situation and I didn't know what to do, then I found always there are people out there who are willing to help me. So that kind of moved me deeply. And I started to feel that maybe we are not so different. We are actually very small. We are actually very similar. And we actually all wanted to have the same thing, which is happiness, fulfillment, doing good things and seeing the good in others and caring about our loved ones. And so that was kind of an interesting time for me. But at the same time, at that time, I actually started to see some problems in the world, like this. And in some of the countries I visited, I saw children who couldn't even go to school, and finish primary school, or people with physical disability fending themselves on the street, or the pollution or environmental issues around the world. And I started to think that maybe these issues were caused by businesses or consumerism. And then I started to feel a little bit skeptical. And then I started to look at some of the things happening in the world at that time. So for example, even today, more than 700 million people don't have access to clean water, and more than 200 million children don't have access to basic education. And still nearly 1 billion people don't have access to proper electricity and other utility. And billions of trees are being cut down each year, even though we know that trees are very, very important for us. So seeing these things, and then one day I went back to Japan, and then I was looking around, so this is Japanese Tokyo street. Then I thought, like, maybe the consumerism is the source of these issues. So I didn't know what to do because the world is big and I was small. But I decided to do something that I could do. And then I thought, what if I stopped buying things? If I didn't have a consumerism in my life, then maybe I don't create too much harm for others. So that was kind of solution for me at that time. So I went to the countryside in Japan and lived and worked with farmers, traditional farmers, for about 2 years, and living with them, eating with them, and making everything from food to, their clothes or fixing the houses. And during that time, I actually realized, at the end of 2 years, I realized that I was actually wrong. It wasn't that the businesses were bad, but there was something interesting I learned from these farmers, because I realized that the connection and exchanging things and helping each other or providing things to each other or solving each other's problems were very important. But in the world of natural abundance, farmers were naturally doing these things. So let me show you this cycle of abundance creation. So first of all, farmers start by nourishing the soil. It's just basic, simple idea. Because if you don't have a good soil, then you don't have a good harvest, right? So then they have to nurture that. They have to put energy and effort in nurturing the soil and the environment and then the plant. And then eventually you will end up with a harvest. So that's kind of like very, simple idea that every farmer needs to practice. But then I realized that maybe in the business world in recent decades, we forgot to do the nourishing part. Just like bees forgetting to pollinate flowers. And then if they wondered, why is there no more flowers and no more kind of seeds? And then, of course, we are the source of problem, or limiting this natural abundance. So with that new perspective, we can look at the global, big global numbers in a new way. So for example, $22 billion. So this is roughly the amount of funding that's required additionally every year to provide access to basic education to the children who currently don't have access to the basic education. And $23 million is the amount of funding required to give access to clean water. And then $30 billion is the amount annually required additionally to provide nutrition to the children currently undernourished. And then the next part you can see, $168 billion is the amount of revenue in publishing industry in the world. And then pharmaceutical industry is more than $1 trillion industry. And the fast food industry is also close to $1 trillion industry. So if we just look at these figures, right, without even over-analyzing, we start to see the power of businesses what they can do. So I thought that what's missing here is not necessarily the power for us to solve challenges, but what could be missing is the meaningful connections that transforms our power and ability to do good with the tangible, impactful opportunity to transform these problems. So now, for me, when in terms of connection, I had a special moment of connection, and many of them, but one particularly important connection or game-changing connection was this time when I became a mom, and this is my daughter who was born nearly 22 years ago. But when she was born, I realized for the first time that I couldn't say I was too small and I couldn't solve the problems in the world, because if I thought about my daughter being in a situation and being homeless, then what if the world said, no, sorry, we are all very small, so we can't do anything, then what would happen? So I thought, even though I couldn't change the world, but I wanted to do something, the things I could do. So I became an entrepreneur and started my very first business with almost no money. So that's why this was the first food company I had at that time. And then that eventually turned into this food producer, like packaged frozen meal in Australia that were wholesaling our frozen packaged goods to more than 150 different stores in Australia in multiple states. So business was like developing, but then I realized I was too busy. I didn't have a time. Our company wasn't making lots of profit because we are putting all the money back into business. And then thinking like, oh, one day when we have more money, one day when we have more time, and we weren't doing anything. So I thought, what if instead of saying we're not ready yet, what if we did something small, instead of trying to do big thing? So this idea came up, which was that every packet of meal, we are packing and providing, we would provide a meal to a child in need. And then we realized that only took like about 20 cents or 30 cents to do so. Then we thought, wow, like it's possible to do it now. And so we embedded this act of impact or kindness into everything we did. So after that, then I also started to imagine like not just about our business, but what if every time somebody has a cup of coffee, a child receives access to water, or every time somebody purchases a beautiful piece of clothes that she or he loves, if the child, a girl has access to education or whatever it is, like even accounting company, every time they have a client, they can provide a goat to a family so that the goat have access to income. So I realized that there is endless opportunities there in linking business action with impactful giving. So further on, so that was 2007 when we decided to sell the food company in Australia and then move to Singapore and then start the B1G1 as the global impact initiative. And now B1G1 focus on these three things. So this initiative is about helping businesses create a tangible impact. So we have a project list with hundreds of carefully selected high impact projects from around the world, from more than 48 countries. And then we will help the businesses to embed that impact into their business action. So every time, even like somebody has a Zoom call, they will choose to educate a child or plant a tree. And we can help them automate that with a clever API and things like that too. Then we will help businesses form sense of meaning and purpose and meaningful connections with those that they care about. Now, today, B1G1 has around 3,000 businesses working with us, over 400 projects from around the world. And then those businesses over the years have created more than 300 million giving impacts. And impacts could be like a number of trees or a number of days of education. So this says a lot about the power of small and power of even small businesses, because we work with lots of small businesses. And then those impacts are linked to the sustainable development goals these days as well. So businesses will know that even if they're running a small company, they are contributing towards the global goals together with others. Now, I would like to play this quick video to actually let you experience our Business for Good movement in the community.
Hello. At Slumbersack here in Germany, for every baby sleeping bag we sell to our customers around the world, we give to support the health and education of children in need.
Hi everybody, we're Ellis Knight International Recruitment in the UK, and for every placement and interview that we conduct, we give access to life-saving resources to people in need around the world.
Here at Green Super Camp Australia, we're really aware of the impact our young leaders will make in the future. And that's why we involve all the young people who come to camp in selecting B1G1 projects that they want to make a difference in the world.
At Beyond Impact, we make a difference with B1G1 in every event, every coaching call we facilitate, and every speech that we give. And one of our B1G1 goals is to rescue 1,000 kids from sex trafficking.
Hello from Oak Aquatic Swim School, Miami, Florida in the USA. We teach families to be safer around the water, and for every swimming lesson we teach, we give impacts to B1G1, and we're so grateful to have B1G1 in our lives.
So thank you for watching that video. And, I brought up this picture of bee because I see this like little bees around the world pollinating flowers together to create the sustainable abundance. So back to this picture again. We are still the tiny little dot. We haven't become bigger compared to the beginning of the session. But imagine what if we just inspired more people to realize the power that they have to create more good in the world by integrating acts of kindness and giving in what they do every day. And I just want to talk about this, show you this picture, because at the beginning it was devastating, overwhelming pictures. But I think when we have this new perspective, when we see these challenges, we don't just see problems. We now see the opportunities to create more smiles, more joy, more fulfillment, and more kindness in the world every day. So thank you so much for letting me share about the story of B1G1. And if you are interested in learning more, then you can find us on b1g1.com and then also connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Masami. The B1G1 program, as what you said, you don't see it as a program. You see everyone, the smile is a very humanity things. And your empathetic heart, seeing the needs, especially I saw from the photos, many are from the third world, the basic needs. Electricity, water, and education. So actually, the model is quite different from what Jennifer has shared on the New World one. You are breaching the needs and filling the gaps in a worldwide perspective. We hope to hear more from you at the Q&A section. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the third speakers. Actually, Aislinn MALONE is from JP Morgan. Supposedly, she is based in Hong Kong, but today she will also join us on a virtual format. So may we invite Aislinn MALONE to join us now. She is the Executive Director of JP Morgan. At the same time, she is leads the Asia Pacific Technology Strategy and Technology Governance Function in Hong Kong, and is also the Hong Kong Technology Center lead. Her career spans across asset wealth management, corporate investment banking, and global IT technology. She had been working in Geneva and New York before relocating to Hong Kong in 2013. Yeah. Hello, Malone, are you here with us?
Hi,
Hi,
Daisy.
how
Yes,
are
can you hear me
you?
okay?
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for the introduction, and again, apologies to everyone there that I cannot be there in person. Unfortunately, we have a positive COVID case in my house. However, hopefully you're going to get a chance to meet some of my colleagues later on in the day. You'll meet Anita later on. Anita is the APAC Program Manager for Tech for Social Good. We also have some of our JP Morgan employees in the audience who are heavily immersed in some of our Tech for Social Good programs, Ross, Baron, Valerie, and Florence. So hopefully those of you in person can meet them. And we also have a number of our beneficiaries in the audience. You're going to hear from Libby from Splash later on, but we also have representatives from Two Presidents, Ocean C3, FIS, Asian Charity Services, to name but a few. So you'll be able to get a little bit more insight from them. So let me just, sorry. Yeah, I wanted to start today to share a quote from our CEO, Jamie Dimon. And this was a quote that he shared in our annual shareholder letter. I'll read it out. It seems to me that people are happier and more motivated when they have a passion, a moral purpose, something they are devoted to. Personally and professionally, I am motivated by the desire to leave the world a better place. Now, this quote, I think, definitely helps put in context what we are talking about today, and that is the opportunity to uplift our communities through collective action. Now, while we have embedded in our culture in JP Morgan, we have giving back to the community is a key focus area, and this is listed out in one of our firm-wide business principles, which is to help and strengthen the communities in which we live and work in. And while socially focused initiatives are widespread across our organization, the one that I am going to focus on today really focuses on the opportunities we have to uplift our communities through the power of people and technology. And this initiative, which encompasses a number of programs, is referred to as Tech for Social Good. And through Tech for Social Good, we are able to offer immersive learning experiences while supporting the communities in which we live in and work in. So before I jump into to some of the programs that fall under Tech for Social Good, I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes to talk about the life cycle or the framework that really is encompassed in each of the programs that fall under Tech for Social Good. So firstly, we start with purpose, and this is really around the culture of empathy. This is then followed by a drive to create impact and to create opportunities in the communities where we operate in. And we can do this through bringing technology and innovation to our social sectors while creating those immersive and learning experiences to both our internal and external stakeholders. This then in turn allows us to create strong partnerships and collaboration with our communities, which in turn inspires others and motivates others to get involved. And then this feeds back into that whole culture of purpose and empathy. So really, when we get this right, we do have the ability as organizations to scale our programs and really expand the impact that we can have, not just locally, but also globally. And I'll come back to that in a couple of minutes in a later slide. So in terms of the Tech for Social Good, there's two programs that I just want to share a little bit more information with you all on. I often refer to these as sister programs. So the first one on the left-hand side is our Social Good Hackathons. And within Hong Kong, we offer one of these on an annual basis. We call it Code for Good. And what Code for Good does is we invite students from local universities to come into our office where they'll spend the day developing prototypes to address some of the problems shared by local NGOs. This program really has a huge amount of benefits. Firstly, for the students, it allows them a really good opportunity to experience what is it like to work in our office. So they have to, they work in a team sitting, excuse me one moment. Excuse me, I had an interruption that was not planned. But going back to the students, that experience that they had in our office, they get to work in a team environment, they have to collaborate, they have to fail fast, they get an opportunity to work under tight timelines and also communicate with a broad set of stakeholders. And for the NGOs, they have a huge benefit from this Code for Good hackathon, because they're normally aligned with 5 or 6 different project teams or student groups. They come out of that end of that day with really, really blue sky thinking, because they'll get a very, very diverse and broad perspective on solutions to address the problems that they're experiencing. And then from our perspective, the benefit to JP Morgan is it really is a great opportunity to attract diverse talent and top talent into our organization. Jennifer kind of referenced this earlier on in her presentation around what the Gen Z are thinking about. We're definitely seeing it, that students more and more are looking for opportunities to give back to the community. So this is a perfect win-win for us, and we definitely see the outcome of this in terms of the numbers of people applying for this program. So on the right-hand side, we have Force for Good, which is very similar in terms of it provides that immersive learning experience. However, the key difference with Force for Good is that it involves our own internal JP Morgan employees. Also, they work with the NGOs for not just for one day, but for a period of 8 months. So, and the output of that 8 months is generally a technical solution that will solve the issues that the partner NGO or social enterprise is facing. Again, this program has multiple benefits, right? For the NGO or the social enterprise, it gives them access to technology expertise that they may not have within their own organization. And secondly, they really have a tangible benefit at the end of that 8-month period in terms of a tech solution. And then the other benefits for our employees, it gives them a really great opportunity to explore new technologies, learn new skills, and also, operate in a role that is outside of their day-to-day. And secondly, and I think it's an even more important benefit that our employees definitely get, is that they really explore and expand and evolve that feeling of empathy and really understanding what that NGO or social enterprise is dealing with, not just from a technology problem statement perspective, but also really understanding what is the social impact that organization is looking to deliver. And that definitely is, again, going back to that circle, is that kind of motivation, inspiration that really just kind of feeds on through the organization. And we definitely see a lot of our participants coming back year on year. Now, one other program that's not listed here, but I did want to call out is that falls under Tech for Social Good, is our youth programs. Very similar to the two I described in terms of that immersive learning experience. However, under the youth programs, we're focusing on people under 18 years old. So just to share through an example, a few weeks ago, we invited 60 students from local secondary schools into our office in Hong Kong. And these students spent the day ideating solutions that will help address some of the UN sustainability goals. And it was an amazingly fun day. And the amount of innovation, thought leadership that came from these students was really phenomenal. So definitely this is a group that we need to tap into as we think about collective action and impact to our communities. I mentioned earlier on about that scale that we said about when we have this structure in place, and this Tech for Social Good operates across all of our locations across the world. And just as an example for Force for Good alone, the team have been able to collectively deliver about 200 projects a year. So this slide talks a little bit about the types of projects that we get involved in. And often we get questions from NGOs or socially focused social enterprises is, what's the criteria that you look at when you're selecting some of these projects? So generally, because it's an 8-month period, we generally like to ensure that the problem statement is quite focused, so that we can manage expectations on both ends, so that it is something that we're able to address and deliver something tangible within that 8 months. The other criteria that we definitely consider is ensuring that the NGO or social enterprise has somebody on their team that is willing and able to work with us. And I think you'll hear from Libby later, and she will describe what a collaborative exercise it is. It really is something that we develop together. In the middle of this slide, you'll see some of the types of examples of the tech solutions that generally we deliver as part of Force for Good. And in Hong Kong, definitely what we've seen, problem statements coming from the NGOs is opportunities where where they can eliminate some of the manual processes that they may have within their organization, and that will allow them to maximize and optimize their scale. So we definitely see a lot of solutions that maybe kind of center around CRM solutions are also really looking for opportunities how we can leverage mobile and web to really kind of expand the impact and scale that these organizations can have. So as I mentioned, it's a global initiative, and since its inception, it's delivered 870 solutions. It's successful. I think within Hong Kong alone, we're at about 46 now, and definitely gained some great momentum over the last years. And I think I would just, to sum up and to say the reason for this success, I think, is three main reasons. The first one, as I mentioned up front, is that we have a solid starting point in that this feeling of giving back, this culture of giving back is embedded into our organization. And I really love the analogy around the bees, but I do think, we're an organization of 250,000 people. We might see all these things are little, but when you add them all up together, the impact is really, really big, really, really big. So I think that's the first one. We've got that support from our organization in place. The second one is that we have a really strong framework to deliver some of these programs, these initiatives. So Tech for Social Good is a perfect example. You'll hear from Anita, but Anita and her team are really, really key to creating that framework that allows then our locations around the world to go ahead and implement and roll these out for their specific locations. And then the third one, I think, going back to the theme of this discussion around collective action, we definitely, through this Tech for Social Good and Force for Good, we realize the impact that we can have by aligning the expertise that we have within our organization, in this case, it's technology expertise, with the passion and the passion and the innovation that we're seeing from our NGOs and our social enterprises. When we bring these two forces together, we really have a great opportunity to deliver impact in our communities that is, sustainable and has some longevity around it. So with that, before we play a short video that hopefully pulls all this together, I just would like to say, to any of you sitting out there, we've got social enterprises, NGOs, educational groups. If you want to hear more, or you think that you might have a use case for one of our programs, please do not hesitate to reach out to us by email or explore more on our website. And hopefully, for those of you there, you'll get to meet our team. So thank you again for the sharing, and hopefully we can just flip over to the video. Thank you.
Most organizations in the nonprofit space can't dedicate full-time staff to their technology needs. They think, it would have been nice if somehow we had the funding or the resources to make this happen. But at JP Morgan, that's where we come in. We put volunteer teams of about 8 individuals on projects, building out these solutions over the course of about 8 months.
This fall, we're going to have more than 100 projects globally, and more than 1,000 JP Morgan technologists will be participating in Force for Good.
For the International Rescue Committee. Being able to partner with companies like JP Morgan is absolutely critical to us.
What we're looking forward to over the next 8 months is working with the team to flesh out ideas that we haven't thought of before.
The edit part is what's tough.
It's a lot of brainstorming, collaboration.
So yeah, that's a good point.
And it's actually an incredible learning and development opportunity for our technologists.
That will enable you now to materialize the form.
This application is going to bring everything together centrally and help keep over 12,000 staff across the planet safer.
Being a part of the Force for Good program has been a great opportunity to make a difference, no matter how big or small that may be.
And that's exciting because we can help them with the skills that we have to solve a real problem in the world.
Hello, thank you, Malone. Thank you for the sharing. It is very impressive for a company invest the internal staff to spend 8 months' time to work with an NGO to develop technology solutions. Actually, for myself, I would like to be the first one to sign up from the technology for social good projects. May I invite Masami and Malone to join us here for the panel discussion session. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for the sharing.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So for audience online, you are most welcome to send us your questions to the chat box now. And also from the audience on the floor, also ready your questions. But would you mind, I will be the first one to ask you for the first one. Yeah. Actually, I can see from New World and also JP Morgan, you invest a lot on people. And actually, for a company perspective, you're spending a lot on the operation in driving forward on this kind of CSV or ESG work. So how do you nurture the people, your employees, have such a DNA, have the same mission as yours? Because you are the top management, definitely you have such a beliefs. But how do you mobilize your staff as well to join this kind of in a tons of works already, but joining this kind of social work? How about may I invite Jennifer to share with us first?
Sure. I think one thing our company really pursue is the entrepreneurship. As our management often encourages our staff to come up with new ideas. We do internal business case competitions, not just around business solutions, but also on the social impact solutions. So we try to introduce community elements when we work on operations and business and stuff like that. So when we groom our talents, like even our trainees, we are not calling them management trainees, we call them entrepreneur trainees. Because we wanted them to try on new things, and that's why we could start up the Share for Good platform in just weeks, because we have this internal drive and like can-do spirit to work things up. I think it's kind of similar to what Malone, JP Morgan is pursuing as well.
Right. Yeah. Yes, thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah.
How about Malone?
Yeah. So. We often talk about when we're trying to implement change that we think about technology, processes, and people, right? But I think when you're trying to implement a really impactful cultural change in the organization, you also need that leadership and structure. And I think what I mentioned earlier on in my presentation, the fact that at our leadership level, at the very top, it's really ingrained in our ethos and our culture that, you know, giving back to our communities is part of what we do. As a financial institution, we have a fiduciary responsibility to uplift the communities that we work in. So, and the leadership part is key. And then the structure part, you know, as I mentioned, having those structures in place that will enable the sustainability and longevity of the programs is really, really important. Then from our perspective as managers to encourage it, we do what we can to make sure that we elevate these programs, we recognize these programs, the volunteers who are doing them, we support them. And then I think, again, as I said, it feeds back, right? Because people are uplifted themselves when they know that they're giving back. And then, you know, that can be contagious within the workplace. But I think it's our job to continue to nurture and recognize and celebrate that. And that helps the whole life cycle keep going and evolving.
Okay, thank you, Malone. For Masami, actually, for the areas that you work with may not be the multinational, maybe more on the SME part. Do you find the culture is quite different? How do you convince the SME to join, to support your program?
Actually, SME is like when business owners' idealism and conviction or mission is driving the business decisions, it's actually very much easier for us to say, oh, why don't you work with us and make a difference? Because primarily, I think business is very, very, running a business is very challenging. So not, many business owners just start doing business to make money, but often behind their motivation, there may be certain challenges that they experienced and the problems that they want to solve. So every business has a story. And then because of that, when they are thinking about creating an impact, they might really reflect on, what their real purpose is in business. And then when they have that kind of like a meaningful action every day, then of course that will motivate and inspire the owner of the company that what they are doing is actually important and meaningful, even if it's a small business. But at the same time, when the company grows and more people join in the company, that will be ingrained in the DNA of business, because it's not like tagged on as just like additional CSR activity, but it's more like a business owners choosing because it's something that they really believe in. And so I totally agree with Malone that actually leaders, like whether it's in small organization or large organization, leaders need to actually embody what it is about, rather than just doing it because it seems to be, something that they have to do.
Okay, thank you, Masami. Actually, I have searched your website. I like those impacts number that you present. When you're approaching your SME clients, do you have to prepare this kind of reports for them in helping them to prepare the ESG report or the UN SDG goals? Things?
They can actually get it all by themselves, because when they have the B121 account, and so it's, basically part of the initiative is platform based. So they can just log in and then choose the projects out of, just like doing shopping, they can choose the project and then they can plant a tree or they could do this. And then all the impacts that they are creating, they can have it on the live impact counter, that they can embed on their website, just like they embed the video on their website. So we make it super simple for small business, even without having that, too much technology background, to be able to measure the impact and then see the impact breakdown, or even in the SDG format that they can see the impact breakdown and then export the data. They can create the impact report if they want to create impact report instead of like annual report, for the company. And so whether it is a bigger company or a very small business, we are really focused on serving every business, because we believe that every business has the power to make a real difference in the world.
I think one thing I agree with Masami is how we help to make things easy and make it simple. Like not only the small businesses and like our NGO partners or things, and we try to leverage our technology and innovation to make things faster, smoother, and then even easier. Like because we are ultimately making a paradigm shift, a cultural change in the mindset of things. So like even on donations part, we have to make it very easy to lower the barrier, like PayMe or Alipay. So to make things like people think that like doing social good is not a very difficult stuff. Like everyone can contribute a part in it.
Yes, actually, from the sharing of the three speakers today, I can see the beauty of technology. Actually, you can see the right on. Actually, it's not that high end. It's not talking about Web3. Just a platform to can easily speed up and scale up of everything and connect all over the world. So actually, in recent years, people talk a lot on ESG reporting. In the last 10 years, I think people focus a lot in talking about the environmental part. But recently, due to the outbreak of COVID-19, I think more people is looking into the social parts. But at the same time, I think corporation also have lots of pressures from investors and other stakeholders. You have to work more transparent in reporting, more mindful in the treatment of your employees, relationship with supply chains, and also your support to the communities as well. So may I also hear some sharing from Jennifer and also Malone from a corporate point of view? How do you prioritize your core part of the socials? Any major concern or pillars that you focus more from your own corporation?
I think one thing Daisy mentioned is that people, the standard is going higher and higher. So for Share for Good, like although we are not an NGO at the very first place, but we have to make it a very transparent platform. So we make all our measurement very stringent. So we actually have a triple gate. So the first one is we do our regular monitoring to make sure every penny is at its best use and is make sure all the supplies is delivered. And secondly, we have a third-party auditor to do all the cash auditing and also all the logistic auditing. And we also have a partner, PwC, which help us to do an audit report, which we are going to publish in shortly. So I think these kind of things, it's not regulatory requirement, in fact, because we are still not a 88 licensed organization, but we also requested ourselves to be a very effective and also transparent so that our partners can trust us, our donors can trust us. And I think that's what the stakeholders, the shareholders is all looking a point to.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. How about Malone?
Hi, yeah, sorry. I think there's a little bit of a lag with my video, but I think I definitely, the importance of the ESG reporting is huge and front and foremost. And I honestly think if we were to really explore that further, we'd probably need a separate deep dive session on it. However, I would say through the community impact efforts that we're working on, and we do kind of see that a little bit separately than the way we would do the reporting around ESG, but on the community focused initiatives, and especially if I take it back to Force for Good, we're definitely looking at addressing some of the problem statements our social enterprise, our NGO partners may have in addressing some of those themes around ESG. So that's the thing where we would kind of pivot some of those efforts that we have going on to support that overall macro focus on ESG within our communities. But definitely an interesting and top of mind discussion, and I've heard that it's been quite come up a few times during the last couple of days.
Yes, and actually for New World, we also have a larger framework on ESG. We call it the Sustainability Vision 2030. So of course, the green is a big part of it, but social is also another big part of it that we need to achieve internally in our company.
Yes, thank you. I think Masami is doing a very good part in helping the companies in solving the problems, in calculating the S. Okay, I think I should release the time to questions from the floor and also audience from online. Can I see the checkbox? Any questions from the floors? Please raise hand. Oh, I can see one hand. Mike, please.
Oh, thank you. So the corporates are doing their best to pursue this, fulfill their ESG goals, and this is a positive impact. So, but on the other side, there are concerns about greenwashing. So there are concern groups that they are worrying that corporates are using this ESG as an initiative to greenwash themselves. So how would your organizations tackle these greenwashing allegations? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your questions.
I think I'll try to answer it. So as I mentioned earlier, like our CEO Adrian has said, we have to be pure in our hearts and do something we really believe in. So when we talk about CSV in our KPIs and our OKRs in every business department, so we are not just doing it on words, but we also have to put it in actions. And actually, in your revenue model or in your course model, there are many areas you could think about to introduce these kind of community initiatives. Like say, for example, when you work on a marketing campaign at a shopping mall, you could actually think about in giving a part of revenue away to make some donations. And say, for example, when we work on a food campaign on the share a meal, it's actually an education process to the patrons of the restaurant owners as well, and also the staff as well, on the concept of pay forward. So by these kind of things, we were actually putting words into actions.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Any response from Malone?
Well, I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think it is a really huge topic, and we do look at that really separately than what we're here to talk about today, which is that the programs that we have in place within technology to uplift the communities that we work in. But I think definitely happy to connect the person who asked the question with our ESG organization within JP Morgan, if you want to explore that further.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions from the floor? Yes, Mike, please. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Jack. Nice meeting you, Jennifer, because I'm a former colleague at New World as well. Currently, I'm working at an international consortium for universities, and I'm just wondering, since obviously ESG and topics like diversity are the global trends. Yeah. I just wondering what's your thoughts, and also the speakers in terms of the future focus, especially hopefully it's going to be a post-COVID world. Yeah. I know outside of Hong Kong, a lot of people are already not wearing masks or, starting to get more connected. So I just want to pick your brains on what kind of future impact we can focus on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the questions.
Thank you, Jack, and hello from colleagues. So I think, of course, we are seeing the situation of COVID slowing down, but we also see that there's still a demand on daily necessity and stuff, because especially the economy has got a big hit from the COVID. So when we shift when we are actually doing a second phase of Share for Good, we are shifting from anti-COVID materials to really daily necessities such as supermarket vouchers and canned foods and things, etc. So we also do some behind the scene work, like for example, over this summer, the temperature is very high, it's very hot. Like people residing in subdivided unit, they do not have the ability to afford the air conditioning. We actually send them like cooling mats to help them to have a cool nights to ease their sleeping. So like daily life is still the focus on the of the grassroots families. But I think another focus we are putting more attention as the next generation is not just on the community, but also like when we're doing our business, how to engage the next generation, how to make the younger generation believe in our business, in our brands in Hong Kong, or maybe in a larger sense, is a very important issue focus we would put a lot of attention on.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah. Can I also write on? Yeah. Yes, Malone. Yes, sorry. Yes. Yeah. Please. Yeah, please.
I was just going to add on that, and just what Jennifer mentioned around that focus on the next generation. Definitely agree that this is. The last couple of years have been tough, especially tough for a younger generation who've had to do a lot of their learning online, and they've missed that collaboration. So that's where we're really doubling down on those youth programs. So where we can, bring, whether it's students in secondary schools, or whether it's the students from universities, bring them into our office, bring them into our environment, and really try to help them see what the value is of like STEM, and what they can do with technology in order to address some of the the social challenges that we're facing, not just within Hong Kong but globally. And that's why we kind of focus those efforts around whether it's UN sustainability goals are some of the challenges that some of our local NGOs are facing. So it has been really positive to see that, you know, the last few years has not destroyed the innovation or what these students are able to achieve. And I think we all need to, you know, collectively encourage that. We've got some fantastic talent in Hong Kong. We need to make sure that we create, you know, the right opportunities all the way through so that we can keep this talent and, you know, that they can feed back into the ecosystem. So I think it's a really good question and something that we all should take responsibility for.
Yes, can I write on the same question for Masami? Because right now we are also entering the post-pandemic time. Any moving forward for your project on this? Any differences? Any projects?
Actually, yeah. And actually, during the pandemic, everything was very tough for every business, and of course, like our activity was, you know, intervened by many different obstacles too. But the surprising part was that overall, the giving have grown like 2 consecutive years, quite significantly. So between, you know, from 2020 to 2021, we saw 80% increase, and then this year too, we are seeing more increase as well compared to the previous year. So we were very, very inspired by the fact that there were still, you know, small to medium-sized businesses, some larger ones, but we have a lot of small businesses. I'm sure it's been very tough for them, but they continue to do what they do. But then now we are heading to the new time where we can choose to start connecting back again in a physical ways too. So even though we got pretty good at doing everything remotely online, so even like connections with the members, we started to do virtual study tours and took them virtually to visit the project. So we did, you know, things like this during the pandemic, and it's probably made a big difference too. But then at the same time, when we can actually physically connect with each other, there is something that we can never replace. So I'm quite envious that, you know, the audience there in physical space and we are remote from here. So, you know, now moving forward, we can intentionally balance between which part we need to maintain the humanity and the physical connection, right? Because there is that importance of real sense of empathy and connection which we can cultivate with the physical connection. But at the same time, we have the technology that caught up with our needs to be able to do everything remotely, online, and with lots of great tools and, you know, capacity. So certain things we do, we might choose to do that effectively online to kind of use the digital power to mobilize more impacts being created around the world. So I'm really like, now like looking forward, even though it's been very challenging, no kidding, it's been very challenging. But I think 2023 could be a year where we will start to see this like intentional impact creation to be kind of more, you know, driven through the good potential that we have around the world.
Okay, thank you. Now we only have 2 minutes left. Let's run up. May I ask for the 3 speakers if you want to cover action on the collaboration for the audience? Oh, one more question.
Sorry, I have a quick question. Thank you very much, all the guest speakers, for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. I have a very quick question about social enterprise. So I myself am running a social enterprise called Project Ethnic Minority Empowerment, and we've been established since a long time ago. But I'm still struggling to really understand how these young entrepreneurs and youth in Hong Kong can incorporate the CSV or CSR and also CSG into our business models and these kind of things. Would you have any recommendations or any advice? Thank you.
Thank you for your questions.
I think because at New World, we also run a lot of internal startups and also support a lot of social enterprises. I think one thing is you need to, of course, you need to think of your bottom line, and you need to think your profits and really have a business mindset in doing these kind of things. But when you're running your operations model, you could also think about your stakeholders, whether your customers are like general customers, or you could serve a specific segment in the community that could help the underprivileged one, or in the course segment, whether you could contribute a little bit on the planet in working, in thinking about green considerations or things like these kind of strategies. So I think every small part like SMEs or social enterprises can consider in these the area of these CSV and CSR things.
Thanks. Malone,
I think I would just add there's platforms out there, and FSI is one of them that we worked with this past year, where they will look to help you match up whatever the skill set that you might want to offer with a cause that may be looking for it. So I think going back to what we spoke about earlier on, everyone has something to offer. In our case, we're talking about the technology expertise, but in your particular case, it might be a specific skill set or experience that you could share. And I think it's just about trying to find that match where you can align it to maybe another organization that might be kind of struggling with some of the some areas that you have already found a solution to overcome. So I think that would probably be a good follow-up to explore some of those matching platforms.
I think just a quick word. At our company, we have an accelerator program that helps the startups, and you can search for Eurocanover to get for more details that might be able to help you.
Yes. I think Masami also have something to share, right?
I think one last thing is because it's so easy to get overwhelmed by so many things you could do. So it's really great to choose just a little thing that you can do now, and then not overthink or procrastinate. Because if we keep procrastinating to try to do something so big, then we might not be able to do it. But if we start with just one small thing, then we can start now.
Okay, since time is running, I'll go to the next section. Let's before I pass to call for action. Maybe I ask call for you. I think the three speakers are very welcome for you to inbox them if you have further questions. Find them at the LinkedIn, the company. Yes. I think for today's the sharing, looking ahead, I'm sure there are more challenges, but there are exciting opportunities to come as well. Everyone can be a change maker, and every business can be a social business as well. For myself, I have a status quote from Mother Teresa: I can do things you cannot. You can do things I cannot. Together, we can do great things. Yes, I think thank you for the sharing of our three speakers. May we give our biggest applause to all of them, to the insightful and inspiring sharing. So may we say goodbye to Malone and Masami here first? Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you for the great sharing. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Hope to see you one day in Hong Kong, Masami.